Good morning and welcome to Coffee Chat with David and Kylie Knight.
Hi there, thank you so much for joining us. Yes, today is Friday, May the 14th, 2021. It's another Friday, everybody. You made it. You made it through the week. It's another Friday. But I know for many of you, it's just the beginning of the weekend.
That's so true. That's so true.
Which means even more craziness.
Exactly. Well, we are glad you guys are here with us today. As you can see, we've already got people chiming in, which I love.
Fantastic.
And they're using the hashtag. So be sure to use
it.
hashtag Hello Nights or hashtag Cup of Awesome. Let us know you're hanging out with us. We've got an amazing guest for you today.
We sure do.
Good to see you, Joshua. And Bentley Burns is on with us today. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since we've seen you. And Cody, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for joining us. We've got some people who watch this on YouTube.
Yes, we do indeed. And if you are watching on YouTube, please make sure to hit that little bell, subscribe. And then if you really want to join the conversation, we do this live over on Facebook. You can find us at Night Illusions every Friday at 10 a.m.
Most Fridays.
Central, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Exactly.
Come and join and you can watch live.
That's right. And if you are here live with us, be sure to like and share because sharing is caring. And we have a lot of fun when people come on board and take part in what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So we want to have you guys with us.
We've got our coffee.
We do.
To chat.
And Joshua, your blazer is spot on and his pocket square is spot on. I do what I can. We are interviewing a doctor today, so I had to fix my collar now.
Good.
I know exactly. Well, and I knew Joshua would be watching. Exactly, yeah, the styling pastor himself.
Gotta look good.
We gotta keep it up. Well, hey, and also we want to know, what are you drinking today? So be sure to pop it in the comments with the hashtag #InMyMug.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know what you're drinking. Today we are drinking Kofi. Of course, we are back to the Kofi. Local guy roasts his own coffee, and it's amazing. This is his
Rwandan blend.
blend.
We're about to switch. We've got the bag of his new honey processed Java.
Oh my goodness!
Mm-hmm.
It is just.
I can't wait to get into that. It's to the point where I'm like adding more and going through more coffee just to get to the other coffee right now. Drink more coffee to get to the other coffee.
It is a fantastic coffee.
It's worth it.
I think it's worth it.
Things you got to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of Kofi, one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons we do enjoy his coffee is because they are a sponsor. So
yes,
here you go. And I love that video because it is just so nice and soothing.
That's
and
how
warm.
it feels when you're drinking it.
The coffee that tastes like magic. Ooh, he should use that.
Maybe.
Yeah,
it's not a bad tagline.
That's right. Let's see, Michael Laws has joined us. Hashtag Hello Nights. Thank you, sir. Yes. And of course, Joshua Kohler. In my mug is Sumatra Dark Roast.
Oh,
ooh, yeah.
Nice.
Good choice, my friend.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So it's been a week since we hung out.
What's happened this week?
What has happened this week? A lot and not a lot.
Yeah.
We've been home.
Yes.
Which has been nice. Oh no, that was last week. I got my weeks confused.
Doesn't take much right
You know?
now. They all kind of just blend together,
They
don't
kind of
they?
do. Oh well, we got our taxes done. So that
Yes,
was a nice thing.
woohoo!
That's a good feeling. Have that off the shoulders. Um,
I did hear that my mum,
oh
who
my
is
goodness.
still in Australia, broke her foot, fractured 2 places. So, yeah, she's now got a plaster cast on, hobbling around, and yeah, should be interesting. And she was meant to take a trip with her sister-in-law, I guess that is, and niece. But yeah, they're gonna just work around her. She's like, I'll keep going.
She
Give me a
will.
little scooter, and I'll get there. She's just one of those people.
She would do it. Well, and then of course your brother.
Yeah, he had foot problems too, but it's not a broken,
Right.
thankfully. It's arthritis in the big toe.
No bueno. Good
So
morning,
it's
Pamela.
just hard to deal with when they're so far away. I'm
It
like,
is,
I
I
want to
know.
come and take care of you, and I can't be
I
there.
know.
Oh, wow. Yes, Pamela, hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining
Thanks for
us.
joining
Coffee
us.
Chat. Yeah, you've got to come on a great day. We
Oh my
have an
goodness.
incredible
You
guest
just
to
wait.
talk to,
You.
which we'll get to very, very soon.
Yeah. So what else happened this week?
What else?
We did a virtual show.
Yes.
It's interesting that things are picking up in
Yeah.
person, which is great.
Being in Texas, it's like a whole different country down here, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, we're open. We've been open for a while. People just wandering around like almost like nothing ever happened. Okay, maybe not quite,
Right.
but you know. But up in New York, things are still pretty shut down apparently. So
Yeah.
this church, this multi-site campus church, was meant to have their annual staff retreat. And so they're like, well, we can't get together. Let's do a virtual retreat. So this lady contacted us and said, can you entertain us for a while? We need a little break from all that's going on, a little fun, a little laughter with everything. So David spent almost about 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was about 35-minute show.
Yeah, doing the virtual show for them. And it was so much fun.
It was an absolute blast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was fun too because in the past year we've done virtual shows, but
Yes.
everything we've done has been a pre-recorded show.
Right.
This one was actually taking place
Right.
live,
And interacting
interactive.
with them.
It was quite a blast.
So fun.
Pamela said, "Sorry for your mom, praying for her."
Oh, thanks, Pamela. I so appreciate that. She'll be happy to hear that too.
And then apparently Pamela's brother's birthday was yesterday. Oh, nice.
Oh,
that's a good thing to
nice.
do. That's always fun. Yeah, I talked to my brother yesterday,
Yeah.
and he's doing better. Lots of good movement on what's going on in his world.
Absolutely.
We can't talk about it too much, but it's good stuff. So,
Yes.
well, should we get to our amazing
Absolutely.
guest?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So we had the chance to meet this guy several years back at a youth pastors conference. He had a booth, we had a booth, and just really connected. Not only because he's got an awesome last name, but also just because he's a really awesome guy. And we think you guys are really going to enjoy
And
him.
he knows a thing or two.
He
He's a smart man.
He's a smart man. Actually, he's also a dangerous man. I meant to be prepared to bring this up. And we might have to talk to him about it, but caught a video of him and Greg Steer from Dare to Share doing jujitsu. we might have to ask him about that one.
What was going on there?
But anyways,
Inquiring minds want to know.
Exactly. We hope you guys will welcome our friend and now yours, Dr. Tim McKnight.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
Good. How are
Doing
you?
Fantastic. You doing well?
Great to be with you guys. Yeah, doing good. I am drinking some light roast Folgers this morning.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Light
That's an
roast.
awesome mug you have.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just your face.
Yeah. Yes, this is my mug from the Smoky Mountains. So it is a souvenir from vacation.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
it reminds me when things get stressful, I
Yeah.
just break the mug out and think about the mountains. So
Oh, that's awesome.
Aw.
That sounds fantastic. Well, cool. Well, hey, we thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to chat with us this morning. And should we just get right into it?
Absolutely. So one of our favorite questions to ask is, tell us your faith story. How did you come to know Jesus?
yeah, so my parents are both Christ followers, and I was blessed to be raised by Christian parents, and so I'm thankful to the Lord for that. I went through a time when I was a teenager, like a lot of teenagers do, of rebellion. Even though I was in the church, I didn't have a relationship with Christ. And it wasn't until I was 17 years old, my church was actually leading a mission trip in Rhode Island, and my friend and I were tasked with sharing the Bible story to children because we were doing like a vacation Bible school, and we were teaching the story of blind Bartimaeus. And as I was teaching the story, I'm actually reading the scriptures, and the Holy Spirit was like, "That's you. You're the blind guy. You don't
Oh,
have a
wow.
relationship with Christ." And so I had an 8-year-old on one side, 10-year-old on the other side,
Hmm.
and we're praying together to receive Christ. And my best friend was like, "Yeah, you don't have to pray this. They can pray." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. I'm giving my life I'm surrendering to
Oh.
Christ today." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess you can do it then." So, but so it was kind of funny because I was led to Christ during one of my own lessons
Wow.
when I'm supposed to be sharing a Bible story. But it just shows the power of God's word, to change lives and to change hearts. And so God just really used His word to give me new life. And so that's my story.
Oh, I love
Wow.
that. That's amazing.
Can happen anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, and I think
Right.
that's a great thing to remember. I'll never forget we were at a youth camp several years back,
Yeah.
and they had lots of really energetic adult leaders there.
Mm.
You remember, and who all seemed like they were very committed. And at towards the end of the weekend, several of those very committed Christians went forward to profess real faith. And so but that's okay because God always takes us whenever, right? We don't. It doesn't have to be at any particular time, and I think that's a good thing to remember. So thank you for sharing that element of your story.
No, I appreciate you asking, and I think that's important too when we do share the gospel, not to make assumptions that the adults who show
True.
up with students have a relationship with Christ, because I've seen it at camps that I preached
Mm,
or in conferences that I've been at and preached,
Yeah.
that we actually have some of the adult leaders that actually give their lives to Christ too. So that's really important.
yeah,
It is.
absolutely. Well, now Tim, we thank you for your service as a former U.S. Army chaplain. You're a veteran of Operation Noble Eagle, Operation Enduring Freedom. You're a recipient of the Kentucky Army National Guard Distinguished Service Medal. Goodness gracious.
Amazing.
You have served as a chaplain also responding to Hurricane Katrina, the shooting at Virginia Tech, even the earthquake in Haiti. Our question for you in regards to all of that is, how do you go about bringing hope to people at such a great time of loss and tragedy? I mean, that just seems so overwhelming.
That's a great question. I think it just comes about with following the example of Jesus, who left the glory of heaven to be one of us and to be present with us. And so I think a key to really sharing hope in the midst of disaster or in the midst of warfare is that ministry of presence that
Mm.
Christians can give. We've had a kind of a challenging year this year, haven't we? With
Yeah.
Just a little
COVID
bit.
Just a
and
little.
there's so much anxiety. And so
Yeah.
Christians have a great opportunity during these times to show the peace of Christ
Mm.
and just to be present. And so
Mm.
important during those disasters that there's a Christian presence there. It's important that when soldiers are deployed, there wasn't anything special about me, but the Holy Spirit in me, working through me when we had these crises, uh, basically established a calming presence
Mm.
for my soldiers and for the people who were
Wow.
there, just because I think people sensed that I was not afraid, or I wasn't in despair, and
Mm.
and that calmed them down. But it requires presence. So like when my soldiers were doing a 5 mile road march with the 50-pound pack, then I was doing a 5 mile road march with a 50-pound pack. Or when my soldiers were running a 7 mile run with a 35-pound pack, then I'm running with them, because you can't minister without being present. And so really having people who are present, who are carrying the Holy Spirit with them, and are carrying the Word of God with them, and speaking hope and peace and love and joy, and the message of the gospel as people are encountering some of these disasters, because people are open to the gospel at a point of pain or a point of passion. And
Hmm.
so if it's something that they're going through that's painful, they're open to the gospel, or if it's something they're excited about, that they're passionate about, that's also a bridge that the gospel can travel over. And so it's
Mm.
important that we're present with people in those points of pain or passion.
Wow, wow! I think that is a beautiful way to put it. I'll never forget um, early on in kind of our ministry, our pastor had started preaching on the concept of the incarnation, right? And that is, I think, is such a big theological concept, and it's so important in helping us, like you said, being present. Jesus
Yeah.
came down and was in the midst of it. You're out there walking with the pack, and you're a part of it because you're incarnating into that moment, and I think that's
Mm.
so wise and so valuable. And thank you so much for your efforts in doing that.
And I think it's also great that we don't have to have all the right words. Like you said, a big part of it was you were just there, you were present, and people could sense that Jesus was within you, and you gave this calming presence about you. Just incredible, the power of God.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just need you to listen, right? They
Yes,
just need you to be there and not give a lot of answers, but just be there and listen.
listen.
And oftentimes, candidly, I don't have the answer to the
Mm,
question. At Virginia Tech, I didn't have an answer to why.
Hmm.
At Katrina,
right.
I didn't have an answer to why.
Mm,
But I can show the love of Christ by being present. And then when the time is right, I can show the truth of God's word to point
right.
them to God's character and to his love, that he's both
Yes.
infinitely sovereign, he's in control of all things, and he's
Yes.
also infinitely loving and good. And even though we don't understand why things happen,
Right.
we can understand clearly God's character through his word. And so I think listening is important, and at the same
Mm.
time, when the time is right, not forcing the time or not trying to manipulate the time. When the time is right, we have an opportunity to speak the truth in love in those situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Which and I think that's why the Bible says to be prepared, right? It's not
Yes.
you have to do it all the time, but be prepared for when that moment arrives, because it'll arrive if you give the opportunity the chance. So
So true.
so good.
Fantastic. All right. So I also want to get to something that I'm very excited about and that I know you're very passionate about. In fact, you wrote a book called Engaging Generation Z, Raising the Bar for Youth Ministry. So good.
Hmm.
So Engaging Generation Z provides everything youth ministers need to equip, grow, and encourage today's generation of young people to follow Christ and to take their student ministry to the next level. So a question is, why is understanding Generation Z so important?
Yeah, so Generation Z is the largest generation in the history of our country.
Is it
They have
really?
so much volume and potential, and
Wow.
think about if we were to mobilize Generation Z with the gospel, what impact could the generation
Wow.
have with missions, with revival, and if they're equipped by adults and parents to share the gospel with their peers, how effective can they be as missionaries in their schools and their communities to actually share the hope and love of Jesus Christ, the gospel? So just the sheer volume of the generation
Gotcha.
makes them important. But we also know that we're called to make disciples of every ethnic group, and that includes subgroups in the culture, subcultures. And so teenagers are a huge subculture. We
Oh,
know that
Yeah.
most people accept Christ before the age of 19. So most people come to
Mm,
Jesus before they're 19 years old. And so it's such a fertile ground for the gospel to be planted and to grow. And so youth ministry itself, student ministry itself, is an important place for us to minister as a church. And then we're called to, right, in Deuteronomy 6, We're called to pass the faith
Mhm.
on to the next generation. And that's not just given to parents, because Deuteronomy 6:4, hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. And so
Yes.
it's given to the faith community, the faith family, and then also to the family. So it might be a parent that's sharing the faith with a teenager, or it could be someone who's in the church who's becoming that for a student that does not have a believing parent that maybe is sharing the faith too. But it's such an important role that the church is playing with this generation in order
Mm.
to equip them with the gospel so they can make a kingdom impact. And listen, our country really needs it, doesn't it? You know, we're
Yes.
the we're
Very
the
much.
fourth or fifth fourth or fifth largest unchurched country in the world. And so every major revival has happened with an age group from about 16 to early 20s.
Mm.
And so for Gen Z to have such a huge population, what a potential for kingdom
Yeah.
revival to happen in
Yeah.
You're
our
right.
nation. And so I really believe that this generation has the potential to be one that can lead us
Mm.
to return to Christ as a country, as churches in the nation, and to also be mobilized to lead others to Christ around the world. And so just their potential, just their volume, I think, puts them on our radar.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Our resident researcher Joshua Kohler made sure to put a link to your book so people
Oh,
can grab that
fantastic.
into
Right
the
there on Amazon. Easy.
exactly.
Thanks, Joshua.
He's always good about that. Speaking of which, thanks,
Oh,
Joshua.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so. You're so absolutely right. And I heard something about how Gen Z is the most uh, committed generation as well. Like if they actually involve themselves in something, like they're going to be committed to
Passionate.
it and passionate about it. So I think that's
Would you
also
agree
important.
with that? Is that true?
Yeah, I think they're very entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They are
There you go.
very responsible. And
Mm.
so, like I've got four Gen Zers in my home. My sons are
Ooh.
Do
20. I have
you?
twin boys who are 20. I have a daughter who's 17 and a daughter who's 13. And so,
Wow.
So you
um,
know of
so,
which you
so
speak.
I know Gen Z pretty well, right?
Yes.
So my sons, when they were like 12, they're like, "Hey, we want to start our own lawn care business." Now I understand they're not
What?
going to be, carrying around like a lawnmower on a trailer. They don't have a driver's license,
Right.
but
Yeah.
they're like, "Dad, can we get business cards for this business?" And
Seriously.
just entrepreneurial. And then my daughter was making bead jewelry, and she's like, "I'm selling this bead jewelry at marketplaces," and then she's giving them away on mission. She'll encounter, we go on mission sometimes in the Appalachia, and she's giving away necklaces to some of the girls who are in Appalachia who may
Wow.
not have jewelry or whatever. So
Yeah.
so they have this entrepreneurial spirit
Mm.
and the sense of commitment and passion, and that also gives great potential for the gospel, because hey,
True.
listen, if we can get them involved in church planting, get them involved in the new work and ministry, having them engaged hasn't been, what potential there is for
Uh,
them just with this entrepreneurial spirit they have.
You
that's
just
so
got to
true.
guide them in the right direction to begin with, right?
That's right. Just
Yeah.
just point them in the direction, give them the gospel,
Yes.
equip them, and let them go. Let them
Nice.
go. They'll do it.
We actually just were talking to somebody about an event that we're potentially partnering with them on a back to school thing, and I was really excited because one of the things they want to do is they want to do a prayer service and commissioning for their students, explaining to them, hey, you're about to head out into school, and that's the biggest mission field you'll ever be a part of. Whether it's your classes or your
Yeah.
your school teams or your
Everywhere
band or
you
whatever.
go.
Everywhere you go, that's a mission field,
Yeah.
and I just think that goes back to what you were saying. If we can mobilize them, if we can get them to understand their place in the church and in the mission, I think we can do a lot of really amazing things. They'll do a lot of really amazing things.
They will.
Well, and speaking of that, in the book you cover practical advice on topics such as engaging parents in youth ministry, equipping adult leaders, holistically guiding students, and so much more. What would you say, like people listening today? What is your top piece of advice for them in engaging Generation Z and helping them to be passionate about the gospel?
That's a great question. The parent or legal guardian, whoever's spending the most time with that student, to their discipleship and their development. And so it's somewhat counterintuitive a lot of times for people in youth ministry, but student ministry, if it's successful, is really about discipling the adults who are surrounding those students. And so when we want to engage Generation Z, again, going back to Deuteronomy 6, it's given to the faith family and it's given to the parents or whoever's raising those children. And so we really want to focus upon making disciples of parents, making disciples of those legal guardians, and then equipping them to disciple their student. Now, sometimes that's not going to happen. You know, I'm not an idealist totally, and are naive, and so sometimes someone from the church is going to have to step up and adopt that student as, you know, a surrogate mom or surrogate dad, and so they have to kind of step in that role. But the bottom line is we have to have the people who are spending the most time with them being, number one, equipped to read God's word and to disciple and to make disciples and multiply and to live out the gospel. You know, so the Great Commission talks about, you know, as you are going. So that's a participle, right?
Yep.
As you are going, make disciples, which is the command, and teaching. And so as we're going about our daily lives, adults are helping students understand, hey, as you're going about your daily life, this isn't something you have to wait for an event to happen. You don't have to like have a certificate, you know, as you're going about your daily life, just show people Jesus, you know, show them the love of Jesus that you have. But they've got to see that in an adult first. And so we found from statistics, Terry Linhart and David Ron had a book called Evangelism Remixed that basically says that 85% of the time, if a student sees an adult lead somebody to Christ, that 85% of them will actually lead someone to Christ within that month. And so if we can disciple adults to disciple students, then that's the key. And that's a team effort, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. So
That's right.
Yes.
if we're looking at the church, you know, the pastor has to be have a vision for the next generation. The student ministry has to have a vision for the next generation. We're working with the children's ministry, working with the adult ministry. So everyone's working together. So when you have that drive-by parent that drives by the church and just kind of, you know, passes their student on the student ministry and we never see them.
Right.
How are we going to reach that drive-by parent? We've got to have a team that's working together to do that. And so really, the key is just going back to the early church, old-fashioned discipleship, making disciples. And so some people put a dichotomy between evangelism and discipleship. They separate them. I put them together. And so, you know, as you're going, make disciples, baptizing. Hey, so there's the gospel, right? They're baptizing, we're leading them to Christ and they're being baptized, and then teaching them to commanded. So not just giving an information dump, but showing them how to live the gospel out in their life. So you've got baptizing, that's evangelism, and teaching them to observe all I've commanded. That's discipleship.
Right.
Flip sides of the same coin. And so as we look at this idea of discipling the next generation, the adults are the key.
Yeah.
Well said. And he never said convert. It's not just a convert, it's a discipleship. It's an ongoing process. And we are big fans of that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, Tim, you have given us some fantastic answers to some tough questions. We're going to shift gears now and go.
And we do need to ask him about that photo that we saw.
Oh, the video.
The video.
Oh, do you want to do that first?
Should we do that first and then go to
All right, so tell us. You know the video I'm talking about, right?
I've been wanting to know.
Where you're like doing this
sparring or something?
boxing, jiu-jitsu. What was that all about?
Yeah, so I teach full time at Anderson University, youth ministry and missions. But I happen to be also the karate teacher at the university. I teach karate as well. I teach Kempo karate and Shirite Jiu-Jitsu. And so Greg Steer is a big Bruce Lee fan. He took some karate, you know, when he was a kid, and he actually wrote the introduction of the book. He
Oh,
talks about
really?
karate in the introduction. And so we were at YMEC in Baltimore together, and I said, "Hey, Steer, you want me to teach you a few things?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." So we went together afternoon. We're getting ready to do a workout, and so I just taught him just a
That's
simple drill
great.
that we do, and he really picked up on it quick. He was a quick learner, so it's a
That's
lot of
great.
fun. He's a great guy. Dare to Share is a
Yes.
great ministry teaching students how to share the gospel.
Mhm.
And really, he and I are kindred spirits because of that, looking at the potential for the next generation. And so it was really cool just to hang out with him and kind of be his sensei, for a few minutes.
I love it.
That's great.
Sensei McKnight. Yeah, and Greg's actually going to be on our show next month. So we're excited
Fantastic.
to have him on.
All right, let's get to our lightning round that we love to call
All right.
5 questions.
All right.
All right, question number 1. What are you binge watching right now?
So watching The Chosen, and I think it's a
Nice.
great series. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
actually wearing. You can't see I'm branded, but I'm wearing
you
a
are?
Chosen T-shirt, long sleeve T-shirt. So yeah,
Nice.
watching The Chosen.
It's a fantastic show.
Fantastic.
Very well done. Okay, if you could have any other job than the one you have right now, what would it be?
I would be a pilot.
Oh.
When I got out of high school, before I answered a call to ministry, I was looking at pursuing flying and was
Very cool.
being a helicopter pilot, and so that's probably what I would do. I'd be a pilot.
Fantastic.
I like that.
So good. Question 3. What is your favorite to-go order?
Thai.
Thai.
Yum.
Ooh.
I love Thai.
Thai is good. Thai is good. Pamela says that her family and her started watching the Chosen, so they're going to continue that. Okay, but real quick, what is your like Thai order? Like, what's the thing?
I ordered chicken pad Thai.
Okay,
so
nice.
that is my go-to.
Yes.
It's like comfort food for me. So
Yes.
yeah, chicken pad Thai. It's the bomb.
Yeah,
You're making me hungry,
I
Tim.
know, right? We might need to get some lunch after
I
this.
think I might have to get some Thai food.
What are you reading right now?
I am reading Jesus Through Middle Eastern Eyes.
Yeah.
And it's a book about how would someone from Jesus's time and from the Middle East actually see the parables and see the Gospels. And so I'm reading that. I'm also reading another book called Fighting Patton, which is a very different book,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
and it's written basically about the German generals who fought against George Patton and what their
Ooh.
perspective was about fighting against him. So I'm reading 2 very different books.
Yes.
That's a perspective you don't normally hear either.
Yeah, they wanted to. The author had a great idea, write about what the enemy said about the guy, and so it was a good perspective.
Fair enough. All right.
All right, question 5. They decide to make a movie of your life. So who plays you?
So I think I'm going to leave that to the viewers today.
Oh, okay. Viewer's
Because
choice.
I have no idea. I've had a few people say I look like somebody, and so I would say, well, who resembles me? And so whoever resembles me, that would be probably who I'd have play me.
All
Okay.
right, there you go, listeners. If you come up with somebody, please help Tim out. Who would play him?
That's right. That's right. We want to know. Well, in fact, we should probably put up a screen capture of this and make that a
Yes.
poll on our page.
We'll
So
take
we'll
a
do
poll.
that, and we'll let you know
This
the
will be
results.
fun.
That will be fun.
Yeah.
Well, and if you guys want to learn more about Tim, be sure to follow him on all the social medias at
Yes.
Dr. Tim McKnight. He's a fantastic person to follow. You will be blessed by learning more about him and following his adventures. And he's got some stuff that he talked to us about offline that we're not going to talk about yet, but that's
We'll
going to
let
be very
him
exciting
announce that.
and that you're going to want to be watching for. So pay attention to all that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Well, Dr. McKnight, thank you so much for your time. This was such a joy and a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.
You bet.
Yeah, thank you again.
We will be chatting with you soon. So thanks so much.
And get his book,
Take care.
everybody.
God bless.
You can grab it on Amazon. There's a link right there. And make sure you follow him.
Exactly. Well, speaking of which, Pamela says she's going to get his book,
Oh,
which
great.
she should, because
Yes.
it's a fantastic book
Yeah.
and very helpful. And he's just such a great guy. I mean,
know.
just from the moment I met him, I've just always enjoyed his presence. He does have
so
a presence.
much.
He does. He does.
But he did the jujitsu as well.
Jiu-jitsu and Kimpo and
Oh,
goodness.
wow.
And I don't even know how people keep track of the different styles like that.
No.
That's amazing to
I
me.
guess you got to be in it to know it and
I
understand.
guess so.
I don't know.
Fair enough. Well, next week we won't be here. Next week we are flying to California for a show. We're very excited about that.
Yes.
So we're going to take that week off. But the following week we'll be back with another what should be a fantastic interview. A very good friend of ours, Pastor Jason Collins, who pastors a church here in the Dallas area.
That has had incredible growth the last few
goodness.
years. So it's going to be a great interview as we talk to him on May the 28th at 10 a.m. Central right here on Facebook. So put it on your calendars, tell everybody, and be sure to join us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Should be a great conversation.
Yes.
Any other thoughts?
That's it for right now.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We hope that your coffee never runs dry like mine has.
May your first coffee get you through to your second coffee.
There you go. Exactly. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We will see you next time.
Have a great week,
on Coffee
everyone.
Chat.
Bye.